Brought to you by River State Government, the treasure base of the nation.
According to World Bank statistics, River State accounts for 10% of the nation's GDP, 40% of crude oil produced onshore in the country, and 100% of liquefied natural gas exports from Nigeria also comes from River State. The exploration and marketing of the state's oil and gas resources are, however, controlled by Nigeria's federal government, with the funds accruable from oil going to its coffers. Determined to ensure economic growth, the state in the past few years began a campaign aimed at attracting investment by highlighting business opportunities besides oil and gas. The state's Commissioner for Commerce and Industry, Chuma Chinye, however, believes the state's oil and gas potential cannot be overemphasized in the bid to attract investment.
Quite often I hear people begin talking about River State and we want to discount that oil and gas hub element. We shouldn't. We are the Houston of Nigeria, and so we must always build on that, because indeed, if we claim to be the oil and gas hub, then we must look at what are, first of all, the potentials that we can draw from that. And my first take is that those potentials are minimally utilized. For instance, we have only one petrochemical industry in the whole of River State. And if you look at the volume of natural gas reserves, we have only the LNG in Bonny that is tapping that resource. I just talked about the petrochemical, only one at Eleme. And the byproducts from the crude that we exploit from River State is massive, massive, and it could create a whole economy if we had a cluster, for instance, for petrochemicals. The potentials are huge for the oil and gas sector, and I think that we have not tapped more than 10% of it.
To position itself for any form of investment, the River State government had to address certain fundamental issues that made it impossible for business to thrive in the state and prevented investors from coming in. The most prominent was insecurity.
What are the records here? That a few disgruntled persons who felt, look, our territory is not treated fairly, and so they took up what you may call arms, and then they got infiltrated by criminals who also saw in that an opportunity to make money. And so there were disturbances for a brief period. But since the Right Honorable Chukwuka Amechi became governor, he had quelled that significantly.
The mission to rid the state of constraints continues with the implementation of policies and structures that will in turn translate to improvements in the process of doing business in the state. A survey conducted by the state government revealed that it had one of the most cumbersome regimes for registering property in the country. This anomaly is being corrected with the adoption of a new Land Policy and Procedures Act for property registration. A public procurement law to allow for transparency has also been enacted to create a more conducive business environment.
And part of the framework we have also put in place is that we have reformed our financial sector. We have put in place strategies, budgeting, planning. We have put in place data collection, to enable private sector come into the state and be able to make an informed decision on each sector that they would like to invest.
With these achievements recorded, the Special Advisor to the Government on Investment, Abiye Amakiri, says all the success achieved would be futile without the involvement of the host communities in the process of doing business. This informed the state government's decision to ensure every policy governing investment and business in the state would be geared towards employing a good number of its indigents without any form of livelihood.
The focus of this government is employment generation. And I think that is why we're reaching out to the private sector. We cannot create all the opportunities ourselves. When government says we'll create employment, we generate employment, it's not that we're going to now say we need to employ 10,000 more people in the state secretariat. No, we will just create that enabling environment for private sector people to come in, and then people can compete just for jobs based on their qualification. We've also enacted a law to say that, look, nobody in the state, no youth, no community member in the state will be allowed to go to any company gate, to lock up the gate, or to create commotion, or to prevent the company from carrying out its activities, in the name of whatever, employment, or you didn't employ me, or you didn't employ, you're employing non-natives. Nobody is allowed. We have created channels within government in which communities can come and express their grievances. And I assure you, those channels are very effective.
With a clear plan on what it hopes to achieve, the state embarked on massive infrastructure projects aimed at creating a more conducive business environment, starting with the construction of roads in the rural areas to ease the movement of goods and people from the rural communities to the urban towns and vice versa. In 2013, 65 billion naira was budgeted for construction of roads, with 8 billion naira earmarked for the monorail project in the city of Port Harcourt, geared to relieve the city centre of the burden of heavy traffic.
Right now, the government is doing most of its roads, is funding most of the roads that it's doing. But we have roads that we have earmarked for private sector participation on a PPP basis. Okay, what government basically will do is to procure the access way for these roads, and then the private sector organizations will come in, bid for them, and do them, and then of course make back their money from tolls, just like you have with the Lekki concession. It's one of the roads we've had on the drawing table for a while, with which we've been talking to people, is of course the 108 kilometer Port Harcourt Ring Road project.
Constant electricity supply remains the bane of economic growth in Nigeria, raising the cost of doing business and crippling the success of most commercial activities. River State is no exception. The government, however, is on a mission to rewrite the story. Port Harcourt currently needs 750 megawatts of electricity. Presently, it generates 500 megawatts. While the distribution of electricity lies in the purview of the federal government, the River State government says it's determined to ensure it generates and distributes 750 megawatts of electricity in the state in a few months.
We have abundant gas reserves. That is not in question. And that is why we're working with the federal government every day to ensure that as a state, we will be able to get to that day someday where we are able to not only generate, which we're able to do right now, but distribute and market power, because it is key. The distribution and marketing of power, which can only be done successfully by a deregulated private sector, is key to an economically vibrant economy. That's our goal for River State.
River State may be known as the oil and gas destination, but the benefits of this status is yet to be seen or felt by the host communities as regards employment for the teeming unemployed youths. For existing businesses in the state willing to employ, a recurring impediment is the lack of requisite skills and education needed to position them for emerging industries. The government has also taken the lead by building schools in every local government area and is seeking partnership with the private sector to provide requisite skills relevant to the sectors where they are needed. To drive this vision, the government set up the River State Sustainable Development Agency, established to ensure all-round development is achieved. It is responsible for coordinating scholarship programs for indigents of River State, carefully selected and offered overseas scholarship to acquire training in relevant areas in the oil and gas sector, among others. The state's pride, however, is the success recorded in its ongoing agricultural revolution, one it hopes will attract investment.
We also have a major focus on agri-engineering, because clearly focus, as a state, on agri is very profound, and its focus is intended to help develop the rural areas and create jobs. So there are a number of agri projects that the state government is getting involved in, and we think it's important that we develop the right manpower that can provide the management, for some of those projects.
Already in partnership with foreign agro-allied companies, the state government believes its agricultural sector is well positioned for investment, with existing opportunities for agro-based industries such as oil palms, cassava, banana and yam. The mass cultivation of a crop like the oil palm and bananas are ongoing in most parts of the state. Today, the rhizome palm is one of the biggest palms in the South-South region. The banana plantation in Ogoni is another, currently employing over 4,000 people. To further promote the agricultural revolution, the state has embarked on the creation of an agricultural estate comprising 3 villages existing on a 4.5-hectare farm. The village is to exist with all major infrastructure provided, along with social amenities required for living.
This is a program targeted at introducing young people to see agriculture for what it is, as the business of tomorrow. It's purely a bankable and commercially viable project. And what we have done as a state is created an incentive and an enabling environment by providing 300 houses to ensure that those who work there and those who live there will become agricultural entrepreneurs.
The government has also put in place huge incentives in this sector to encourage public-private investments, such as simplifying the procedure for land acquisition for mechanized agricultural purposes, and in some cases, outright provision of land by the government for certain agricultural projects. Agro-allied companies also stand a chance to enjoy 100% capital allowance on plants and machines used. Beyond cash crops, investment opportunities lie in the state's natural resource, water, one that earned the state its name, rivers. Predominantly fishermen, fishing was gradually losing its popularity in the past owing to oil spills. Today, aquaculture has been revived in the state with the establishment of 4 major fish farms. The Buguma Fish Farm is a model for others under construction at the moment. Currently built and managed by UNIDA, an Israeli firm, aquaculture in River State has not only become an investment opportunity but some sort of tourist attraction. On this fish farm, the operations are computerized to monitor the activities of fishes on a 24-hour basis in order to ensure it functions properly and serves the purpose for which it was established. When completed, it will be employing over 500 people on each farm and over 2,000 people when replicated in 4 other communities in River State. The aim is to move River State beyond an oil and gas hub to a fish hub.
This fish farm was initiated, and the idea came obviously from the government of River State. I think in this respect they are definitely pioneering here, because this technology does not exist in Nigeria, and I doubt whether it exists in Africa at all. What we are doing here, this is a tilapia farm using the river water. You can see there we are actually pumping the water from the river. This is called a flow-through system. The water just flows through the ponds. It's all the time circulating, as you can see, and we are injecting oxygen into the water. Everything is computer controlled. So with that technology, the density of the fish and all the things around it are available, making that available, and to have basically fresh fish throughout the year, any time of the year, at good quality and at an affordable price.
According to a research recently conducted by the Fish Site News Desk, an online research center, Nigeria currently imports about 700,000 metric tons of fish to 800,000 metric tons of fish annually to meet a shortfall of 1.8 million metric tons. And the River State government says it plans to turn that number around, and that led it to establish this fish farm known as the Buguma Fish Farm, which produces tilapia fishes. Now, the fish farm stands at an advantage owing to its closeness to the brackish water where the tilapia fishes need to survive. Now, while 1,000 metric tons annually may not sound as an impressive number, the government believes it is a call for investment in aquaculture in River State. For instance, the fish farm is in need of more fish meal processing plants to help feed the fishes. It's also calling for marketers who would come in to buy these fishes when cultivated to reach the Nigerian market. With most of these ponds located in the rural and riverine communities of River State, the state government has established access roads into these communities to ease transportation. Electrification has also gotten to most of these communities which host the fish farms. When Eye on Rivers returns, we'll look at other investment opportunities in River State besides agriculture.